Assalamualaikum and good morning. Welcome to speakers and fellow students to our first slot for today, Grand Career Talk by alumni for the Manufacturing and Material Majoring. Before we start, let us recite Surah Al-Fatihah. Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. The objective of this slot is to expose students to the current work practice as opposed to the mainly theoretical knowledge being taught in the university. Students, if you have any question, feel free to put them in the chat box or you can save them for the Q&A session later on. The registration link will be provided in the chat box given. Please fill it in for the star point purpose. Okay, first of all, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Professional Technologist Muhammad Izwan Zakaria, who is currently working as an electrical and instrumentation engineer, Department Head, PS Pipelines Sendirian Berhad Klang Valley Distribution Terminal, KVDT Dengkil. He graduated with a Bachelor of Material Engineering. Without further ado, please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can hear clearly ya? Boleh dengar semua? Okay. So MME actually ada foreigner. We got foreigner here. If no, then I would like to talk in bahasa lah, better. Ada foreigner?
I guess no.
No lah. Okay. So I think better I talk in Malay lah, bahasa Malay lah. Better to interaction. Okay. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nama saya Muhammad Izwan bin Zakaria. I'm currently ENI engineer, electrical and instrument engineer lah, di PS Pipeline Sdn Bhd. PS Pipeline is a Petronas and Shell pipeline. So we based in KVDT. This is a Klang Valley Distribution Terminals. So before that, I would like to share my screen first. Okay. So boleh nampak tak?
Boleh?
Boleh. Okay. So ni simple slide sajalah. Okay, sekejap. Mana dia punya ni? Okay. Okay, so okay, ni introduction, saya dah kenalkan diri. Okay, background lah, saya terangkan pasal background saya. Okay, saya grad daripada UIA in Bachelor of Engineering, Material Engineering tahun 2014 lah grad. Dan first job tahun 2014 juga, just after graduation, saya work as a corrosion engineer in Karatech. Then afterward, I join as a senior corrosion engineer. Ini company Best White Corrosion. Then afterward, during my working career lah, I pursue study in Master of Material Engineering and currently graduated in 2021. Now just tunggu untuk submit hard copy untuk thesis lah, thesis binding lah. So just finish my master in materials also. So saya buat dengan Dr. Hanafi, kalau ada sesiapa kenal Dr. Hanafi lah. Okay. So ini saya buat part time lah. Masa sambil bekerja dan saya buat part time, ambil masa dekat 2 tahun setengah. Masa COVID, dan saya stop sekejap, ambil study leave dekat 1 sem. Dan saya continue back, dan alhamdulillah dah habislah 2021 ni. Okay, then during my career also saya join another 2 company as a senior project engineer. Then in oil field, saya join as a senior corrosion / integrity engineer lah. Then in 2021 sampai present, saya assigned as a electrical and instrument engineer ENI, dan merangkap sebagai head of department lah untuk electrical and instrument di Klang Valley. So kalau tengok gambar dekat sini, yang atas ni actually this is my current kerja sekarang lah. So this is a pipeline. So pipeline, saya jaga pipeline ni daripada Melaka sampai ke Dengkil, KVD terminal. So daripada pipeline ni kita ada 3 user, ada Petronas, ada Petron dan juga Hanyuan. Hanyuan ni before this is a Shell, tapi sekarang Hanyuan dah beli Shell, tapi produk tu still produk Shell lah. So this is where I work now in the terminals. Okay. Okay, that's my background lah. Okay. First of all, I would like to talk about how to market yourself as a freshie lah. Saya terangkan macam mana in your situation as a freshie. Kalau you dah ada experience, itu lain punya cerita lah. Tapi as a freshie, okay, first of all, once you dah graduate tu, memang saya sarankan memang you kena wajib register dengan BEM. BEM is the most important thing lah. Macam IEM, MBOT atau ada ni dia supplement sajalah. Tapi yang paling penting you must register with BEM. Okay, currently actually saya tengah buat untuk professional engineer. So sekarang tengah macam final phase lah. Saya dah submit semua documentation. So sekarang waiting for they call for interview lah untuk professional engineer. So once I success the interview, then insyaallah dapat IR lah untuk professional engineer. So ini memang saya sarankan memang wajib lah. Once you graduated, you mesti kena ada BM. Sebab sekarang pun kebanyakan employer dia akan letak syarat untuk student mesti register with BM as a graduate engineer. Okay. Then yang ini nampak macam tak penting tapi sebenarnya memang penting lah. Okay, to be honest, memang kalau boleh you kena score lah. Kena score 3.0 CGPA at least. Sebab nowadays memang orang cakap apa, persaingan tu sangat tinggi lah. Compare pada masa zaman saya dulu, mungkin masih relevan. Even saya pun, saya not a top scorer. Saya dapat CGPA 2.98. Sikit lagi 0.02. But still, alhamdulillah lah. Due to my hard work, memang saya buat lebih lah daripada orang lain dan saya dapat secure kerja. Saya first material student yang dapat secure kerja lah masa batch saya tu. So memang penting CGPA ni. You mesti kena dapat at least 3.0, then you ada apa cakap apa, ada kelebihan lah to other candidate. Then you must also active in society dengan curriculum. Okay, yang kalau you tak aktif dalam sport tak apa, tapi you try to involve in society. Sebab dulu pun saya one of the engineers team lah, dan saya juga robot team member. So dua society tu memang saya aktif, dan saya juga main chess lah dulu zaman university. Okay, then you also kena aktif dalam media sosial untuk career punya ya, bukan media sosial Facebook tapi career such as LinkedIn. Okay, yang ini once even you tengah final year student atau third year dulu dah boleh create lah satu media sosial, and you try buat media sosial dekat LinkedIn, then you add some people yang influence lah. Sebab sekarang dekat LinkedIn, kalau you aktif in LinkedIn, you boleh jumpa ramai orang yang boleh tolong fresh grad in term of macam resume punya apa ni, check, dia boleh tolong check resume, dia boleh bagi tips macam mana nak career. At the same time, you boleh create bonding dengan industry people. Okay. And of course, you kena surround yourself with successful people and experienced people lah. Sebab without orang cakap apa benchmark, kalau you tak ada benchmark, you tak tahu you nak pergi mana. Even saya pun dulu saya tak ada orang guide saya macam mana saya nak further dalam career ni, nak kena buat apa yang nak kena ni. Tapi bila saya dah once masuk join industry, now I know lah what is the most important thing when you join industry, apa yang benefit you and apa yang buat you berada lebih daripada orang lain. Okay. Then sekarang pun memang sekarang banyak yang online, so kita boleh join banyak courses, contoh macam free webinar, resume writing, ataupun ambil sertifikat. Tapi sertifikat ni selalunya dia mahal lah. Tapi kalau you ada duit lebih, you boleh buat lah. Contoh macam you ambil API, NIST atau apa, C-suite, benda-benda ni yang related to oil and gas. Saya cakap based on my personal punya experience in oil and gas lah. Saya in oil and gas industry daripada fresh grad, sekarang dah 9 tahun dalam industri. Okay. Dan yang paling saya rasa yang ini antara yang penting lah, improve your soft skill dan juga be creative. Soft skill ni in term of communication, how you communicate with people, how you market yourself during the interview, you tak nervous bila bercakap, you boleh cakap fluently, tak ada isu, you tahu apa yang you nak buat. So soft skill ni sangat penting lah. Dia buat you first impression untuk employer nak ambil you bekerja. Sebab dia orang tak kenal, dia orang yang apply contoh position untuk fresh grad kan, ada dia nak pakai seorang dua je tapi yang apply sampai 500, 600 orang. So macam mana dia orang nak differentiate between the best lah, between the best among the applicant tu, mana yang the best. No choice, dia terpaksa tengok dari segi apa yang dia nampak, first impression. So first impression is how you prepare your interview lah, macam mana you communicate, you cakap macam mana, you dah prepare. At the same time you punya background education lah, you punya top scorer ke, you dapat 3.0 ke atas. Memang kalau you dapat rendah daripada 3.0, dia akan a bit disadvantage for you, tapi jangan risaulah, sebab memang rezeki ni Tuhan yang tentukan. Yang penting you usaha dulu, usaha. Kalau you kurang dari segi CGPA, you try improve dari segi benda lain. Contoh you cubalah buat, you cuba join mana-mana apa ni, macam courses ni, macam saya cakap courses. Kalau you lack in soft skill, you boleh join ada satu, kalau sekarang I think Toastmaster ni dia macam ajar you how to speaking, how to public speaking. So you kena increase lah. You tengok mana yang you kurang, then you try improve. Okey, yang ini bagi saya yang sangat penting lah. Selama 9 tahun saya bekerja dalam industri dan still masih go on lah. Okey, core important value untuk grow dalam industri ni bagi saya, yang ini yang saya terfikir lah, yang saya nampak semasa 9 tahun di ini ialah, first, yang paling penting adalah attitude. You must have a good attitude kalau you nak survive dalam industri. Attitude ni dia involve banyak benda lah, disiplin, macam mana you manage your time, macam mana you communicate dengan subordinate. Macam saya bawah saya dalam department saya ada yang direct under saya ada 5 orang. So bawah saya ada yang umur 57 dah nak pencen dah. Macam saya sekarang baru umur 31 tapi dah saya terpaksa lead geng-geng senior ni. So macam mana cara saya nak approach senior people. At the same time kita lagi muda, dia lagi tua, dia 57, saya 31, tapi dia macam mana nak buat dia respect kita sebagai leader. Tu you must know how psychology lah, macam mana you nak communicate dengan people, macam mana bila you ada tu baru you you layak lah untuk jadi leader. Sebab nak jadi leader ni bukan mudah lah. Kalau jadi boss senang. Jadi boss you just arah-arah, you don't care about others people punya feeling. Tapi bila once you jadi leader, you kena tengok all the aspect lah. Okay, so attitude ni sangat penting. Macam mana you punctual pergi kerja semua. Ini memang kena jaga. To be honest, kalau you tengok saya punya background pun materials kan, tapi mesti some of you yang macam mana saya boleh join tiba-tiba masuk electrical dengan instrument. Saya zero experience dalam electrical dengan instrument. Sekejap anak nangis lah. Okay. Sekejap ya, sorry ada gangguan sekejap. Sorry. Tak apalah, saya teruskan. Minta maaf ada anak nangis pula. Okay. So macam saya cakap, you must be hard work jugalah. You kena hard work, then you kena belajar untuk multitask. Okay, masa mula career saya tu memang orang cakap sangat tough lah. Nanti saya akan discuss further lah untuk you become macam mana nak multitask. Multitask ni macam you as engineer, you tak semestinya you kena buat kerja dekat site apa semua design kan. Tapi you kena macam mana cakap you kena try adapt dengan zaman sekarang kita ada new software. Let's say macam sekarang Petronas dia adapt panggil Power BI. I think some of us might know lah Power BI. Kalau sekarang kita ada Excel, ada Microsoft Word, tapi sekarang kita ada Power BI. So sekarang kita dah implement di Petronas Shell, kita dah guna Power BI ni as how to you present your project management and so on lah. Number 4 is connection. You must have a good connection. During 9 tahun saya bekerja, memang I create a lot of connection lah. So connection ni actually dia bukan benda yang macam kita pergi lobby, pergi tanya, tak. Tapi connection ni dia datang dengan sendiri. Bila you bekerja, bila contoh dulu saya sebagai kontraktor, kontraktor ni kira kalau dalam hierarki tu dia bawah lah kontraktor. Lepas tu dia ada macam apa ni, consultant, dan kita ada supplier, dan atas sekali kita ada operator, client. So operator yang client ni macam sekarang saya join is a Petronas, Shell, macam itulah. Ada Petron, ada Petrofac, macam tu. So kontraktor ni company-company yang kecil-kecil. Okay, saya start daripada bawah lah, daripada company kecil tu. So macam mana saya create connection is not because saya pergi lobby buat ajak minum teh, no. Connection ni dia datang sendiri. Bila you serve the job, maksudnya kalau you buat kerja tu, contoh you buat satu projek dengan Shell, Petronas, tapi kalau you dapat bagi outcome daripada projek tu sangat bagus dan you punya attitude tu, orang akan ingat you. So daripada situlah orang akan cari you balik. So ini connection sangat penting lah. Okay. Yang kelima saya rasa yang paling penting adalah set goal dengan ambitious lah. Macam saya memang saya dah dari start graduate saya dah ada goal, saya dah ada achievement. Saya dah tahu dah saya nak set untuk jadi apa, saya nak ambil bidang apa. So macam saya memang saya dah set, saya nak join oil and gas masa tu. Saya nak jadi as a corrosion engineer. Cuma end up last sekali saya ANI lah, tapi still I enjoy my work lah. As long as your career ada progress, kita boleh merancang tapi Tuhan yang tentukan lah. Tapi you mesti kena ada. You tak boleh jadi macam engineer sahaja, tapi you kena jadi professional engineer. You kena jadi ambil apa ni, professional technologist, TS. You cuba ambil complete certificate macam tu lah. So yang keenam adalah visible dengan reporting. Visible reporting ni dia macam more on mungkin orang nampak dia macam mengampu bos. Actually it's not like that lah. Visible maksudnya visible, kita kena tunjuk yang kita ni ada masa buat kerja tu. Sebagai contoh, kalau bos you minta you buat something, you must buat dan you quickly reporting. Reporting tak perlu bagi tahu dalam group apa semua, tak perlu. You just send an email, okay boss, I done this, complete. So by you doing that, sebab bos ni dia ada ramai subordinate bawah dia. Dia tak sempat nak tanya seorang-seorang. So macam mana dia nak tahu you boleh buat kerja atau you dah siap kerja is by your reporting and be visible to your bosses lah. Okay. Okay, ini yang saya boleh anggap sebagai most challenging moment lah selama 9 tahun saya bekerja dalam oil and gas. Okay. First earlier career memang agak lopek lah masa tu tahun 2014. Saya join Karatech as a corrosion engineer. So masa tu memang, tapi masa saya join tu saya tak anggap macam lopek lah. Saya masih okay. Cumanya ada yang company yang bayar lagi tinggi lah. Okay, contoh masa saya join as a fresh grad dulu, gaji first is 2,600. So it's quite okay lah. Kalau compare to nowadays lagi teruk, ada orang dapat 18 kan, saya 26 dulu. Dan saya sangat laju lah naik. Sebabnya to be honest memang orang nampak apa yang saya buat. So saya memang naik agak laju. Dari segi macam tangga gaji semua saya laju, saya naik. Dalam masa 2 tahun saya dah jadi senior, and now 8 tahun experience saya dah jadi head of department lah. So ini yang saya nak cuba terangkan pada adik-adik semua macam mana kita nak succeed dalam career ni lah. Dia sebenarnya depend pada diri you sendiri. Orang lain tak boleh nak tentukan you punya jalan hidup tu kan. Diri you sendiri kena berubah, you kena ada target, macam mana you nak achieve target tu lah. So masa saya memula kerja tu, dari segi okay. Sekejap. Okay, multitask. Dulu masa saya mula kerja, saya buat semua benda. Saya bawa forklift, saya buat projek, saya sapu sampah dalam office. So benda ni bagi saya normal lah. Kebanyakan sekarang saya tengok, kebanyakannya fresh grad sekarang dia agak, saya boleh cakap, sorry lah saya cakap, agak lembik lah. Agak lembik. So benda tu kalau boleh buangkan mentaliti yang macam orang industri. Bila saya nak ambil orang fresh grad, saya tak suka orang yang lembik lah. Mana at first memang kita akan susah. Tak ada orang yang mula masuk terus senang. So you kena bear semua benda tu, you kena sabarlah. Sebab kalau saya nak bagi tahu lah, dalam industri ni, mungkin sama juga dalam industri dalam education punya ni macam lecturer apa semua, tapi dalam industri kalau you nak cepat growth, contoh kalau you accept job yang rendah, low paid, tak apa, you sabar dulu, you ambil dulu experience dan lepas tu you akan dapat better opportunity. Tapi you kerja still macam biasalah, ikhlas lah you kerja, jangan you kena tunjuk good attitude lah. Tapi you kena sabar, you tak boleh jadi lembik, you kena tough. Okay. Dan nombor 2 is travelling for project education lah. Dulu saya memang buat onshore, offshore, lepas tu pergi travel overseas. Masa 8 tahun tu dekat 7-8 negara lah saya dah pergi. Okay, untuk pergi buat kerja lah. So memang tough. Banyakkan kerjanya saya akan pergi seorang-seorang. Sebabnya company nak jimat cost lah. So macam mana bos boleh percaya you, hantar you seorang-seorang untuk buat projek yang agak gila lah kan, bukan offshore, you seorang-seorang pergi buat kerja tapi you dapat deliver. So benda tu yang akan buat you, bila bos nampak you boleh buat benda tu, you are somebody lah. Okay. Then yang last, yang ini yang saya hadapi sekarang lah, career transition daripada mechanical, material ni saya under mechanical lah. Okay, from mechanical to electrical. So ini memang cabaran yang sangat tough lah. 8 tahun experience saya dalam MCI, Material Corrosion Inspection. Then saya transit to electrical. Memang zero experience. Tapi my boss now, dia memang trust saya lah untuk handle this job. So he know that I can do this. So macam kenapa dia tu adalah you boleh kenal diri you sendiri lah. So you kena create. You nak dapat sampai ke tahap ni, you mesti kena do something lah. Supaya orang kenal you. Bila orang kenal you kat industri, you tahu. Okay, bila sebut nama dia, contoh Izwan. Oh, I know him. Dia boleh buat kerja macam ni, macam ni, macam ni. So daripada situ, walaupun you bukan background electrical, tapi tak ada isu kalau you dapat, memang you boleh. You boleh. Okay. Cumanya sekarang saya more on management. Saya campur sekarang, memang berat on management lah. Bila dah join Petronas dengan Shell ni, memang kita more on, memang betul-betul jadi leader lah. Mana kita kena buat planning, management. So yang subordinate bawah saya akan buat lebih dekat site lah. So bawah ni adalah ni antara gambar-gambar yang saya pergi buat kerja lah. Ada dekat onshore, dekat offshore ni, dekat Thailand. Yang ini dekat Brunei. So saya pun pernah merasa naik helikopter 2-3 kali jugalah. So ini memang good experience lah. Cuma sekarang bila saya dah join PS Pipeline ni, memang saya dah buat 100% onshore lah. 100% onshore, dah tak evolve offshore punya work lah. So I think that's all from me. So mana-mana yang kalau nak add saya dekat LinkedIn, boleh add lah. Ni saya punya LinkedIn punya ni lah, profile. So I think that's all. Minta maaf ya ada gangguan tadi, anak nangis pula. Okay, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Professional Technologist Muhammad Izwan Zakaria, for the interesting speech. Next, I would like to invite our next speaker, who is currently working at Swinburne University of Technology Sarawak as a lecturer. He also graduated with a Bachelor of Material Engineering. I would like to welcome Sir Muhammad Rafiq Mirza bin Julaihi to share his experience. Please welcome.
Is it my turn already? Okay, got it. Then I will start my my turn then. So just a moment. Okay, I think you can hear me, and also you can also see the screen I'm sharing as well. So thank you everybody for inviting me for this program. And also thank you for the previous speaker as well, because a lot of the points that I would like to explain as well has also been explained very well before my entry here. And then let's see. So we start with a bit of an introduction. like what was mentioned earlier, there was everybody is Malaysian. I suppose everybody is local, so I'm going to mix up as well. But mainly I will be speaking in English because everybody knows English and also everybody will know Malay. So towards the end, nanti bila hujung-hujung tu saya start cakap bahasa Melayu lah. Sekarang saya cakap English dulu lah. Sekejap ya. Okay. A bit of self-introduction then. My name is Rafiq. I graduated from IIM Materials Engineering in 2008. After that, I went to Japan for both Masters and PhD, and I obtained Masters and PhD in 2012-2015 respectively. So afterwards, I worked as a lecturer at UCT Cebu for only 1 year. And now I am a lecturer at Swinburne Sarawak because coincidentally I'm working here. It's my hometown, so it's rather convenient for me. I found an opportunity to work in my hometown. But anyway, before becoming a lecturer and also while doing my postgrad studies, I also did this one here. I was also I was also a research assistant and also a lab staff, and we did collaboration with Hitachi Research Laboratory in Ibaraki, Japan. So did two things at once. So it was quite interesting. Maybe I will talk about that one later on. And this is what I did and what I'm doing right now. And also I am a Hokkaido University alumni partner. So if you have interest to study in Japan or even in Korea too, for example, you can also contact me later on. As a lecturer, I do research, and the research that I'm doing right now usually concerns on nanomaterial production, and what I have invented as a result of that research is an all-metal solar cell. No silicon, no semiconductor, so it's all metal. It seems to be working very well. So you may see that there are some logos of the companies and also the professional qualification that I have obtained in the meantime. For example, right above here, I also am certified as a professional engineer in Australia because I am a member of the society here because they are the equivalent of Board of Engineer Malaysia that we have here in Malaysia. So as part of my employment at Swinburne Sarawak, because they are an Australian university, I was directed to join Engineers Australia, and I have obtained a professional engineer title here. So, and because I'm working in Malaysia, I also have to get the BEM-IR or the professional engineer from BEM, and it's on its way. Hopefully nothing goes wrong with that one. So a bit about my current responsibilities also, because students hari-hari tengok lecturer, mungkin adalah tahu macam apa kerja lecturer mengajar kat depan, lepas tu dia bagi assignment ke, lepas tu dia bagi homework ke, ataupun dia bagi test lah. Tapi on the other hand, sebagai lecturer, these are the current responsibilities that I have to do. For example, let's divide it into three aspects: the teaching, research, and community service, for example. And the last one at the bottom there, something that interests me as well, to how to develop students as student competition. So, teaching, we develop and do continuous improvement of the subjects, and also try to fulfill both the Malaysian and also the Australian accreditation requirements. So it can be quite tough because they do not come at the same time. We do this thing every 2 years effectively, or rather every 3 years, because the Malaysian one is every 6 years and the Australian one is every 5 years. So the cycle come and go, on average every 3 years. So we have to do a lot of continuous improvement on the subjects and also the curriculum that we do. So you may notice that in the past there were subjects that were offered to you, but nowadays not anymore. So there are some subjects that simply do not exist. Macam masa saya ambil dulu, saya ambil degree dulu, ada engineering drawing, tapi tak ada ni, tak pakai komputer lah, tak pakai AutoCAD, memang lukis tangan lah. So right after my batch, everybody started to learn AutoCAD, SolidWorks, for example. So there would be an evolution of the subject that you're trying to take, for example. So I'm presenting to you here my viewpoint as a lecturer, for example. So you may have a bit of awareness as well. So we do research, and I'm also the final year project coordinator for Sdn Sarawak mechanical students. Quite interesting because CanC students, they struggle a lot, for example, because of the responsibilities that they have to do. But that's okay. That's why I'm here to guide them, for example. And also, something that is also ongoing for us is to apply for money for research, because yeah, research needs a lot of money. We do community service as well, time and again, as part of our responsibility as an academic staff. For example, I designed a rainwater collection system for a village outside of Kuching. It worked until now, and it has already been 3 years. Apart from that, too, I also encourage and form student teams for student competition, such as what you can see here, the Shout Eco Marathon, where students build a fuel-efficient car. James Dyson Award, this is where students invent something new for the current problem that is in engineering or in the industry, for example. And in a smaller scale, Innovate Malaysia, which works the same way like the JDA, for example. I think a bit on my career path before I move on to a bit of advice for you and the end of the talk today. How did I reach here? I'm right here, and I'm also aspiring to become a associate professor and professor eventually. So you are here right now. This is okay. You have to realize as well that this is not the end for you. You can always go for master's and PhD if you have the interest for it. If you're not interested in it, but somebody tells you to take it because you don't have a job, well, please don't do that. Please think of it carefully, by the way, because this is not something that everybody can do. It is also the same with working in the industry as well, because if you're in the industry like the previous speaker, is right now, he actually did his master's as well after working in the industry. That's okay too. It depends on your life goal, and it depends on your career goal. And this is where I am right now as a lecturer or senior lecturer. We lump it together, by the way. So I did all of this. I think it was quite satisfying for myself and also for my own career as well, because I couldn't imagine myself working in the industry by myself, but I do time and again do work for the industry as well. Although not as extensive as people who are 100% in the industry, but I do as well. For example, doing research for the marine customs. I think that's what you call. I think you call the marine, or rather the marine police. I did some work for them as well. So I thought it was quite interesting. But anyway, this will be the career path in academia if you would like to do so. So let's see the next one before we start to end work. Okay. What was I supposed to be talking about here? 3 things, by the way: how to stand out in the job market, and then also what kind of challenging moments that I have. And the third one, what kind of additional skills that you would have to try to pursue apart from the uni subjects, for example. So first one here, how to stand out in the job market. I'll just keep it simple here. Make network with your peers and also people in the industry, such as professionals inside it. And the first step to do so is to actually join student clubs. If you have some if there are some student activities that you are interested, for example, club sukan ke ataupun even photography club, for example, you can join them and make friends in them, and who knows that it will help you to build your network. Of course, the next one, you would have to have a career aim and some kind of achievement list. For example, you want to achieve something by a certain age. That's a common way. If you have a career aim as well, you want to work in academia like me, for example, or if you want to work in the industry, please have a clear career aim, and also you may want to have an achievement list as well. I would say that don't do something that you are not completely aware of. By the way, if you hear people that they want to go into the oil and gas industry or even the aviation or telecom industry because the pay is very good, but you are not actually aware what you're trying to do, for example, don't do that. If you have the awareness, you can make an informed decision. That's very good already. So it's up to you. Right now, as well, what you can do is to join professional engineering societies. For example, the Institute of Mechanical Engineers, also Engineers Australia, BEM, not yet, by the way. BEM, you have to graduate first, but some of them, like the one here, Institute of Mechanical Engineering, which is based in UK, you can do it while you are a student. And the next one is what kind of additional skill beside uni subject? Okay, obtain professional certification. The details of it, we can talk about it during the Q&A, for example, but below are some of the organizations that offer these such professional certification, or NACE, FCE, and also the API. For example, so what exactly? Let's find out later on during the Q&A. Also, what you can do right now, during semester break, you can try to do internship as well. Okay, internship or latihan industry, or what you call it right now, maybe industry, industrial training, something like that. You can do that during your semester break. Maybe your semester break could be a few weeks long or even a couple of months long. It's good enough. You can apply for it. That would be a very good. That would be a very good practice for you to have a taste of how is it like to work in the industry. Like myself, I did internship dekat Kilang Cement. It was a cement factory, extremely hazardous, but also good fun as well. If I could do that again, I would, but probably not as, but probably a bit longer. And also wearing proper PPE, fortunately not that long. Also, if you have the interest, you can also volunteer for community service as well. If you see, for example, it doesn't have to be very big. By the way, if you see that around your neighborhood, there are trash on the street, for example, you can organize a group, for example, maybe 2 or 3 people to regularly organize trash pickup, for example. If you have the interest as well, you may want to, for example, plant trees around your neighborhood too. That's also community service. You can put that as some kind of an extracurricular activity that you do. Okay, most challenging moment then. Probably there are many, but I would like to summarize it as something like you can see over here, for example. The job, for example, I have to admit, it doesn't matter any kind of job. It's not going to be fulfilling 100% of the time. Of course, there are times that when you feel quite down with your job, for example, but it would depend on yourself to overcome it, for example. If you cannot do that by yourself, please seek help, for example. We can talk about that, this one in a bit later. And also something that's quite common with probably everybody else here, you have to meet due dates, and you have to at the same time manage multiple priorities. So what you're going to do about that? I would say that if there are many priorities in your life going on at the same time, you have to manage them, which one you have to do first, which one you can delay, and which one you don't have to do. You can also say no as well. For example, like I'll take an example of my own student team for the student competition, for example. Students come and go in the Shell Eco Marathon team. So that's okay. I also realized that some students, they try to commit themselves, but in the end, they couldn't do that. So they talk to me, and that's okay. You can prioritize. You say that you don't want to do it anymore because you want to focus on your final year project. Yeah, that's okay. At least you decided that. I would like to talk a bit more about the job is not always fulfilling. Okay, for example, like myself, I was not very good at public speaking, for example, but being a lecturer, you have to talk in front of people. For example, you have to talk in front of students. So time and again, or rather sometimes I still feel that, for example, when students, they don't engage in the conversation, for example, or rather, well, I wouldn't say not engage in a lecture. Lecture is a lecture, but sometimes when I try to engage them in a conversation in class, they don't want to do it for a certain reason. Not sure why, but it can be quite discouraging. For example, if something like that happens, it could be unique for positions that that require talking to people like that. And also you have to realize as well, not just in the academic job like being a lecturer, you have to talk to people, but you are in the industry too. You have to deal with people. You have to talk with people, for example. So something that you have to realize as well. Once again, the job may not be as fulfilling, but there are moments or there are times where it is you feel that it's actually worth it and you can keep going on with it. Okay, the last one, parting remarks. Okay, I used to have black hair, not anymore. Because of totally genetics, by the way, not because of the job. Just to let you know that. Okay, before I end, very first thing here that people don't really say is to, number one, take care of your health. For example, you get enough sleep, for example, and then then you also have to take care of your sleep schedule too. A lot of people don't do that, of course, for some reason, because of what I notice here, or rather what I noticed because of social media, people are quite obsessed with the grind, the hustle and grind culture. I would say don't do that, because people that are usually the poster boy for that kind of culture, for example, Elon Musk, he is already rich even before he was born. Why? His parents, or his father had an emerald mine. You don't, we don't. So let's not, let's keep us real. Okay, and the next one here, live your life at your own pace, because everybody is different. We were born at different times, for example. We have different abilities. Not everybody can cope with the same kind of stresses, for example. And also you don't stop learning, for example. Even right now, although I'm a lecturer, I still do learn based on the research paper that I read, learning how to deal with students as well. Because students' expectations, they evolve over time. They're different people, by the way. Also, if there is a common goal that you think that you can achieve with other people, collaborate with other people. Job hunting, you can do that. You collaborate with other people. How do you look for jobs, for example? You cannot do it by yourself. You are not a misunderstood genius, by the way. I have to say that. If you think that you are, probably you are not. Really. And the last thing is that despite of what we tell you, for example, you are unique. Please try out things that you have interest in. Okay, for example, like I did here, I did winter sports when I was in Japan. I enjoyed it a lot, and also I have interest in motorsports as well. So, but I cannot keep modifying cars for that. So, do it in a safe environment. For example, if you're doing in a go-kart here. In a go-kart track, for example. So it was great fun. I enjoyed it. Probably nowadays can't do it anymore because there isn't one nearby my place now. So I think that will be it for my piece here. Back to you, Miss MC, Miss Moderator. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Sir Muhammad Rafiq Riza bin Julahi, for the meaningful and insightful sharing session just now. Last but not least, I would like to invite our last speaker, Madam Tengku Nur Azila binti Raja Mamat, who is currently a lecturer in University Tun Hussein Oin, Malaysia for almost 4 years. She has finished her undergraduate study with a Bachelor of Manufacturing Engineering and has 3 years worth of experience in the industry. Please welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chairman. Okay, boleh nampak? Right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi and very good morning. Very good afternoon actually. Okay, my name is Tun Azila binti Raja Muhammad. Okay, so today I'm the third speaker for the sharing session. I hope all of you are still here, okay, together with us. I have few experience, okay, to share with all of you. Maybe not as much as the other two speakers, but I hope you can get something from my sharing. Okay, so my name is Tun Azila binti Raja Muhammad. I'm currently a senior lecturer in VIA in UTHM. Okay, I'm graduating from IIUM in 2007, 2008 from program manufacturing. Okay, and I have completed my PhD in mechanical engineering from University Technology Malaysia UTM in 2016. Okay, so for today's sharing, I would like to share a little bit experience on as an engineer, okay, which is during my industrial training, post-bachelor degree, and during PhD degree and also post-PhD. Okay, I have in total maybe around 5 years of experience in industry, and then now I already 4 years in academic, okay, as a senior lecturer. Okay, so this is the photo taken way back in maybe 2003, 2004. Okay, since I have already lived IIM for 15 years now. Okay, for me, my personal opinion, the time when I was in IIM is the best time in my life, because the time is where I explore myself, where I give challenges to myself to all the adventures, okay, to learn and to gain experience and knowledge. Again, the knowledge and experience I gain in IIM that I use throughout the way in my career path. Okay, so maybe I skip this video. Right. So currently I'm a senior lecturer in UTHM in the Department of Mechanical Engineering Technology, Faculty of Engineering Technology, UTHM in Pagur campus. Okay. My rezeki is I was located in the same program as my bachelor degree, which is manufacturing. So what the subject, the courses that I teach here, production planning and control, manufacturing process technology, metrology and measurement, okay, professional ethics, and creativity and innovation so far, okay, for this 4 years. And then based on my knowledge and experience during my bachelor degree, I used to teach students here together with my industry experiences. Okay, all right. So this one also skip. Okay. The first company that I went was Highcom Engineers Berhad during my industrial training. I'm not quite remember the period of industrial training, maybe 2 or 3 months for IIUM. And then this is the first time I entered the industry in engineering, in engineering field. Okay, so in this company, I was involved in the process improvement, and this is the first time that I am out of my comfort zone. Okay, as we know that in IIM, as students, we live in asrama. Okay, we live in mahalla, so we are in our comfort zone. So when the first time I went out from the comfort zone, I live in the workers' house together with all the staff, all the Bangladeshi, and also I travel to work every day by bus, also together with them. Okay, So this is the first time that I experienced this kind of environment. Okay. And then after graduated from IIUM in 2008, okay, 2007, I finished my study and officially graduated in 2008. And I have difficulties during my time to find a job at the first. Okay, so it took me around 7 months to find a job. Okay, originally I went back to my kampung in Kota Baru and then tried to find job there near my house. But unfortunately, there were no suitable position there. So at this moment, I think that I need to go somewhere that have the opportunity, and then I migrate to KL, to Selangor. So I got the job, which is one of my senior called me. Okay, there was a vacancy in this company, Malaysian Paper Carton Manufacturer Sdn Bhd, this MPC located in Kepong. Okay, so I migrate to Kepong, rent a house with my friends, and then I work as a quality QA engineer, quality assurance engineer, with the first salary of 1,800. Okay, so like our previous speaker said that at the beginning we will face with the multitasking. Okay, kita akan buat semua benda daripada daripada semua benda lah, semua benda kita tak spesifik. Okay, they hire us and then they expect tinggi untuk kita perform. Sebab this company is you can see this small company and then not many people to hold the various positions. So they hire an engineer. So this engineer will do all the production things, inspection and so on. Okay, and also documentation. So in this company, MPC, I experienced and I learned a lot about the ISO standard and also documentation. Okay, and then after around 6 months here, okay, in this company, I work with a lot of foreigners, okay, Nepalese, Bangladeshi, and so on, and also local with various races. Okay, and then company ni saya kerja bermula 6 bulan, lepas tu saya pindah ke company lain, and then later after 1 year company ni panggil saya balik. Okay, dia panggil saya balik dan dia offer sebagai QA division head. QA division head dia offer gaji certain 3,000 plus lah. And then dia panggil balik and then dia minta saya untuk manage satu QA department lah, untuk maksudnya at first only saya je yang jadi QA engineer, tapi bila dah develop dalam masa setahun lebih, dia dah ada satu division, QA division, yang mana dalam division ni ada QA engineer, ada QC inspector dan sebagainya. So this company called me back to manage and monitor this department. Okay, so after few months, okay, tak sampai setahun. Okay, this is the company, the second company that I moved after NPC, Quality Spirit System. Why I moved? Because I'm looking for higher salary and better environment. Okay, so now while working at NPC, I'm still looking for another job, and this company called me for an interview, and then I passed the interview. Then I was offered the position of quality engineer with the salary of 2,500. And then this is an international company, so the number of workers is bigger than the first one. And then I'm able to work with more wider group of people, okay, from UK, from US, and so on, because the main or the HQ of this company is located in UK. Okay. So the company, Spirit Aerosystems, produces aeroplane parts, components such as the wing, the spoiler, and so on. So when as a quality engineer, I involved in the FAI and ARB. The main job is managing the FAI, first article inspection, because in aerospace industry, their standard is a little bit different from the normal industry standard like ISO, quality management system, OSH, and so on. Because for aerospace industry, they have another additional and specific standard for aerospace. So one of them is to prepare the first article inspection for any new model or new product that we develop. So I'm involved in the FAI, and then MRP is the Material Review Board. It is a meeting, okay, whether it is daily or weekly, depending on the cases. A meeting consisting of every department which has the consensus on the defect part. Okay, because once the inspection, okay, inspection found a defect part, they have to bring this part to MRB, Material Review Board meeting, so that we can decide with our own consensus from production, from manufacturing, from quality, from design perspective from purchasing, procurement, and so on. We decide on how we want to deal with this part, whether CC reject or scrap, or it can be rework, and so on. So these activities, okay, give me experience in dealing with the defects and give knowledge on the product itself. Okay, right. Okay, this is few pictures of me. Okay, and then after maybe 3 years in industry, I quit the job and I further my study, my PhD study. I have the opportunity to pursue in fast track PhD. So I started in 2012 and then completed in 2016. Okay. So okay, at first my PhD study is full time, but during my last year of study, I was offered by this company, Aga Group, Sdn Bhd, to join them. It is not an industry, not as an engineering field, but I involved in their research field. Okay, and then because my research area is during PhD is one of their project, so I contributed small portion of their project. So working in Aga Group is a little bit different from my experience in Kilang. Okay, because this is like a more corporate industry. Okay, I'm dealing with siapa yang kenal, ini adalah NAI. Okay, ini adalah Datuk Madani, CEO NAI, Malaysia Automotive Institute. Saya ada banyak meeting dengan NAI, ada projek, and then ada juga handle, ada juga attend sebagai speaker mewakili bos saya. Dia hantar saya ke Singapura masa tu untuk wakilkan dia untuk bagi keynote speech untuk satu event. Okay, ada program bersama NGO dan juga meeting lah. Okay, so ini semua develop saya punya skill yang a little bit different daripada engineering field punya skill. Okay, so 2016 I graduated from UTM, alhamdulillah. But again, once again, I face challenges to find a job. Okay, after my PhD. So dah cari kerja, masih lagi belum dapat, tunggu. I decided to find a job in industry again. Okay, sebelum tu saya cari kerja dekat akademik lah, okay, sebagai pensyarah. Tapi disebabkan challenges masih tunggu, saya cuba apply juga job sebagai engineer. Okay, then I got job from Tanjung Motor, Sdn Bhd. Okay, yang ni 2017 lah. Okay, 2017 saya sempat bekerja dengan Tanjung Motor sebagai engineer. Tanjung Motor ni dekat Segambut. Okay, sebagai engineer dan saya involve untuk Tanjung ni saya apply balik knowledge yang saya dah dapat sebelum ni in terms of documentation dan juga process improvement. Okay. Dan saya jumpa tim yang berbeza lah. Biasa tim berbeza, background berbeza, produk pun berbeza. Okay. Apa yang kita bawa adalah diri kita dan juga experience kita dan juga knowledge kita lah untuk sama-sama kita contribute kepada company. Okay, and then lepas Tanjung and then saya dapat offer sebagai pensyarah di UTHN dan saya migrate lagi sekali daripada Selangor ke Johor. So after 8 years I think in Selangor, so I moved to Johor and currently in Johor lah, in Paguh. So lesson learned from the whole story, tak panjang lah, cuma 15 years. This cover 15 years of my experience from my bachelor degree from graduated IIUM. Okay, saya ada nak kongsikan beberapa point lah yang mungkin ini adalah personal point saya lah based on my experience. Okay, yang first, do migrate if necessary. Macam saya tadi lah, at first tu saya tak tahu kan, kita tunggu je tempat yang nak cari kerja dekat dengan rumah, nak cari kerja kat kampung, dekat dengan saudara mara. Tapi at one point kita akan rasa, okay, tak ada peluang kat sini. Berhijrah tu adalah lebih bagus. So, take the challenges, migrate. Okay, to find apa yang job yang kita nak lah. Okay, migrate. Okay, second point is don't stop learning. It is lifelong learning. Kita belajar sekarang, you all ada dekat IIUM sebagai student. Okay, sebagai student, satu you belajar akademik mengikut kurikulum yang dah dirangkakan lah. And then satu lagi you belajar juga soft skill. Okay, soft skill dapat dari mana? Dari involvement dengan society, involvement dengan kesatuan-kesatuan lah, okay, dengan aktiviti-aktiviti dekat universiti. And then knowledge tu kita akan dapat itu masa universiti, masa degree. Okay, once you dah graduated, itu bukan berhenti dekat situ. Okay, kita akan sentiasa belajar dan belajar. Once we enter a new place, kita akan belajar new environment, new people, new kalau dekat kilang new product. Produk tu tak sama, tapi kita ada foundation kita tentang engineering, tentang manufacturing. Itu yang akan bantu kita untuk initiate. Okay, initiate dan untuk kita polish, kita perlukan knowledge yang baru. So kita akan belajar dan belajarlah macam mana kita nak belajar. Kalau dekat universiti kita ada pensyarah, kita ada tutor contohnya. Tapi once kita dah keluar, kita adalah diri kita. So kita kena usahalah untuk belajar, sama ada nak tanya senior, mungkin nak tanya klik kita, ataupun mungkin kalau tengoklah klik tu ada yang mungkin nak share, ada yang tak share. Jadi kita kena usaha dengan cara kita sendiri untuk tambah knowledge kita sendiri. Bagaimana knowledge ni akan membantu dalam career kita. Okay, and then dalam masa yang sama kita belajar dan kita teach others. Sebab kita daripada background IIUM, orang lain background lain, institusi lain. Yang ni background mungkin kerja dah berapa puluh tahun. So setiap orang ada ilmu yang kita tak tahu, dia tahu. So kita share ilmu kita belajar daripada dia. So masing-masing boleh tambah knowledge lah. Okay, point yang ketiga adalah attitude. Okay, ini samalah macam yang first speaker tadi pun cakap. Okay, PS Iswan kita cakap attitude. Attitude in terms of discipline, in terms of time management. Okay, macam mana datang kerja tu tepati masa, okay, nak meeting macam mana, okay, dan macam mana kita kita deal dengan bos kita macam mana, how to deal with our boss dan juga subordinates. Macam ni kita nak bercakap, cara kita bercakap dengan subordinate kita lah, orang bawah kita. Okay, maknanya kita bossy ke ataupun macam tadi kita adalah leader. Okay. So itu attitude kita. Then attitude ni dia come together with ethics. Okay, ethics dan juga professionalism. Maksudnya kita be professional as an engineer, as a worker, as a boss, as a leader, as a maybe as a colleague at one time. Okay, topik kita berbeza. Bila kita sarung topi sebagai engineer, okay, what should we do? Apa etika yang kita perlu jaga? And then once kita tukar topi sebagai mungkin colleague, okay, kita ada kawan-kawan kita kan. Okay, dalam satu masa mungkin kita kena lupakan sekejap title as engineer, kita dengan kawan kita tu sebagai friend. So ada etika yang tertentu dan professionalism yang tertentu yang kita kena mainkan peranan lah. Okay, the next point adalah be grateful. Okay, be grateful sebab kita nak dapatkan kerja tu susah. Mungkin waktu tak dapat kerja lagi kita berusaha mencari kerja. Tapi once dah dapat kerja, mungkin ada yang terlupa sedikit, terlalai. Tak bersyukur. Kerja macam ni lepas tu banyak komplain. Banyak komplain, tak perhati yang tu, tak perhati yang ni. Tapi sebenarnya be grateful sebab ada lagi kawan-kawan kita yang mungkin masih belum dapat kerja. So be grateful dan kat sinilah kita bersyukur dan kita kena dapatkan berkatalah rezeki yang kita dapat ni, share dengan parents kita, share dengan family kita, share dengan orang-orang yang sekeliling kita yang berbuat baik pada kita, yang pernah bantu kita sepanjang kita belajar, sepanjang kerjaya kita. Itulah untuk bersyukurlah. Okay. Next point adalah independent. Okay. Independent ni mungkin kalau saya nak kaitkan, mungkin sekarang sebagai pelajar tak nampak lagi lah. Pelajar kan dia ada batch dia lah. Mesti masing-masing terikat dengan batch. Okay, nak pergi kelas pun ada geng dia. Tapi once you dah keluar daripada universiti, you akan jadi independent. Walaupun tak nak jadi independent tapi secara automatically you akan jadi independent. Sebab macam tadilah ada speaker sebelum ni cakap, kita adalah kita dan setiap orang tak sama you punya purpose of life, you punya interest, you punya kebolehan, you punya knowledge tak sama. So contoh independent ni macam contohnya kalau nak minta kerja, memang kita ikut kawan contohnya kan. Okay, kawan kita dah minta kerja dekat sini, kita pun minta kerja dekat situ. Dan kawan kita dapat, kita tak dapat. Ataupun kita dapat, kawan kita tak dapat. So kita nak pergi ke tak kerja tu. So kat situlah kena make decision ataupun justification. Maksudnya sampai bila kita akan bersama dengan kawan kita tu. So masa tu kita memang terpaksa, walaupun kata mungkin pada waktu tu kawan kita kata okey, petikan diri sendiri ke apa, tapi just go for it. Sebab dia pun akan dapat rezeki tempat lain. Rezeki kita dekat sini walaupun sama-sama usaha. Okay, and then bila kerja pun sama in terms of kata kita nak make decision, kita dalam satu team, kita nak pergi macam tadi yang first speaker kata dihantar ke overseas seorang-seorang. So kena terpaksa independent. Okay. Dan yang last kali adalah expect less. Kita kerja, kita dah dapat kerja, alhamdulillah bersyukur tadi kan. Then kita jangan expect lebih lah macam dekat drama pula. Kerja dekat engineer, jadi engineer duduk kat office sendiri, pakai kemeja, kemas-kemas. Kita kena expect less lah, tak boleh terlampau tinggi kita punya expectation sebab nanti kita akan kecewa lah. Selalu macam tu kan. Jadi kita expect less, kalau kita dapat more, alhamdulillah, syukur. Then dalam masa yang sama, walaupun kita expect less, kita kena tahulah hak-hak kita sebagai sebagai employee, sebagai labor. Kita ada labor undang-undang buruh kan, kalau tak silap saya lah. So apa mungkin undang-undang right ni dari segi hak, dari segi masa bekerja, ataupun mungkin majikan kita tu dah sampai certain level yang okay ni dah salah. So waktu tu kita dah kena take action lah. Sebab kita nak kena pelihara hak kita juga. Walaupun kita kata okay kita kerja untuk company, tapi dalam masa yang sama company kena jaga kebajikan pekerja. So inilah poin-poin yang saya nak share based on my experience, my own personal experience. Okay, and then the last one untuk pelajar-pelajar semua, pelajar manufacturing and material. Sekarang masih lagi dekat universiti, take this time, this opportunity untuk build your own jati diri. Jati diri sendiri, macam mana nak build? Kena luaskan networking, okay, join society, kenal different group of people. Sebab different group of people dia punya mindset dia lain, dia punya cara pembawakan dia tak sama. Okay. Macam contohlah kalau based on my experience, kalau dulu engineering student dia macam ni. Tapi bila kita join society, kita jumpa student mungkin contohnya student IRK. So dia lain pemikiran dia. Itu dekat universiti. Once kita dekat industri pun sama. Okay, kita mungkin saya bukan nak merendah-rendahkan, tapi kita contohnya lepasan degree dengan mungkin lepasan SPM, dia punya level of thinking tu tak sama. So kita kena experience this by our own self, baru kita tahu macam mana nak tackle. Okay, and then sama juga saya nak propose kepada pelajar-pelajar semua untuk join terus LinkedIn daripada sekarang lah. Sebab LinkedIn ini dia adalah macam Facebook tapi dia lebih kepada profesional. So dekat sini boleh jumpa macam-macam contoh-contoh ataupun living, kita panggil living example yang mana dia berjaya dekat bidang dia. So kita boleh follow dia punya story dia. And then ada juga sometimes ada job opportunity dekat sini. And then last time masa COVID ni, okay, saya nampak ada juga yang post minta kerja dekat LinkedIn. So mulakan daripada sekarang, tak kisahlah tahun 1 ke, tahun 3 ke, tahun 4 ke, mulakan daripada sekarang, create account LinkedIn and then create networking dekat situ. Kita tengok bidang yang mana kita minat, boleh tengok company pun ada. Okay, company yang kita mungkin dah aim, katalah contohnya dah aim nak masuk oil and gas tadi kan, macam first speaker. So kita boleh tengok bidang-bidang yang berkaitan. Kat mana sebenarnya apa sebenarnya peluang yang ada, sebab maybe kita dekat universiti kita tak nampak lagi peluang-peluang. Okay, alright. Then practice professionalism. Practice professionalism daripada sekarang, bukan bila kerja sahaja. Sebab kita sebagai student pun kita kena be professional. Betul. Sebagai seorang individu, sebagai seorang kawan pun kena professional. Contoh profesional sebagai pelajar, attend kelas, ikut jadual yang ditetapkan, okay, buat kerja assignment ke, profesional. Kalau kata nak communicate dengan pensyarah macam mana, nak communicate dengan staff-staff dekat makmal macam mana, okay, so itu adalah professionalism. Jadi praktis daripada sekarang. Dan satu lagi saya nak ingatkan juga, mungkin waktu nak minta kerja, saya nampak ada contoh-contoh lack of professionalism. Kita guna email, nama email tu pun dia cakap entah apa-apa. Maksudnya tak mewakili, tak melambangkan kita ni serius nak mohon kerja lah. Okay, contohnya Blossom Girl ke. So kita kena start daripada situ. Create satu account email yang rasmi untuk kita mau kerja, and then email pun email yang belajar cara-cara untuk tulis email yang bagus, profesional lah. Okay. And then once kita dah keluar, kita sebenarnya adalah duta UIA, duta IIUM. Kemana kita pergi selepas ini, kita akan bawa nama IIUM. Okay. And then kalau mungkin ada pelajar tahu, ada yang tak tahu, ada setengah golongan dia punya expectation adalah UIA ni bidang yang dipelajari ni tak ada engineering, tak ada bidang-bidang engineering dan sains lah, dia pelik. Saya pernah jumpa orang yang terkejut sebab ada engineering kat UIA macam tu, masih lagi ada sampai sekarang. Jadi kita bawa nama UIA, kita bawa jati diri kita lah, be professional, and then practice ilmu-ilmu selain daripada akademik yang kita belajar dekat UIA. Then the last one is value every moment. Okay, value sebagai pelajar, value kat every moment sekarang sebagai pelajar. Sebab nanti bila dah keluar, dia akan rindu dekat masa ni. Okay, once sudah katalah macam saya ni dulu kerja industri. Okay, sekarang saya kerja sebagai pensyarah kat akademik, saya rindu balik zaman industri dulu. So jadi kat mana kita berada sekarang, kita appreciate lah. Peluang tu bukan semua orang dapat. Bukan semua orang dapat belajar dekat UIA. Bukan semua orang dapat kerja kat sini. Bukan semua orang dapat kerja kat situ. So itu saja. With that saya end session saya. Kalau ada soalan boleh bertanya sekarang ataupun later lah. Okay, itu saja saya kembalikan kepada Miss Chairman kita. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Madam Tengku Nur Azila binti Raja Muhammad for the interesting speech. Again, thank you so much to all speakers for the great sharing session with all of us. Now, we will have a quick Q&A session. Students, you may unmute your mic or write down your question in the chat box provided. Okay, there is question from TS Izwan Zakaria. How to create a wide network in the engineering field? But the other speakers can also add your own opinion.
Okay, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, soalan tu macam mana kita nak create connection kan? Macam saya cakap tu lah. First, you kena tunjukkan diri you ni visible with your boss. Previously masa saya kerja dulu pun memang boss trust saya. So apa-apa projek pun dia akan assign saya. Sebab dia tahu the quality yang kita deliver lah. So bila you dah join a certain project, contoh you dah pergi mana-mana offshore platform, you akan jumpa ramai orang. Dan dekat sana bila you deliver kerja pun you akan, sebab kita tak kerja seorang-seorang tau. Walaupun kita dihantar seorang diri ke projek. Tapi dekat projek tu kita perlukan lagi manpower. Contoh bila saya pergi ke certain projek, kita kena ada manpower, kita kena liaise bekerja dengan operator. Contoh bila saya buat projek dengan Petron, kita ada orang-orang Petron. Kita kena buat permit untuk kerja. So masa itu bila you contoh you disiplin, you datang on time buat kerja, you bila you berjanji you buat, orang nampak value tu dekat diri you. So that's how you create secara tak sengaja lah, akan create connection. Dia tak perlu macam you nak ajak bersembang, tak ada. You tak talkative pun tak apa. Tapi bila you deliver a good work, orang akan ingat you sampai bila. Lagi satu, bila boss bagi you apa-apa tugasan atau responsibility, you take the challenge. Jangan cakap saya tak boleh, nanti saya nak tu. You mesti cakap boleh, saya boleh buat. Saya akan cuba buat. So itu yang you kena ada attitude dalam diri you, barulah you akan jadi visible untuk, you akan a long time, macam saya 9 tahun, memang kita akan jumpa ramai orang. Masa tu kita akan create connection. So saya dapat position yang sekarang ni pun based on my connection lah. Masa saya interview 13 orang interview untuk position ni, saya the only one yang mechanical background. Lagi 12 semua electrical. Diorang ada 11 tahun experience, 8 tahun experience dalam electrical. Tapi saya zero experience dalam electrical sebab orang tahu kita punya attitude. Orang tahu macam cara kita bekerja, sebab tu dia berani untuk take risk untuk hire kita. So now saya dah kerja dalam almost I think 5 bulan kot, 5-6 bulan. Memang saya sangat enjoy kerja department sekarang, walaupun berbeza dengan apa kita punya degree, tapi benda tu tak ada masalah, tak ada isu, sebab kita willing to learn. Benda tu kita akan belajar, the whole process kita akan belajar. As long as you know how to manage your ni lah, you punya kerja lah macam tu. Okay, thank you. Terima kasih.
Okay, thank you, TS Izwan Zakaria. Okay, next question is for Sir Muhammad Rafi, Mirza bin Julaihi. There are students who are asking, do you learn Japanese when you were going to study in Hokkaido?
Sorry, can you say that again? I couldn't catch what you're saying.
Okay. The students who are asking, do you learn Japanese when you were going to study in the Hokkaido?
Okay. Soalan dia simple je sebenarnya kan, tapi saya nak cerita lah sikit je lah apa yang saya buat. Program yang saya masuk tu untuk postgrad fully in English. Dia nama dia E3 program, Engineering English Engineering Education program lah macam tu, untuk yang specialize untuk Hokkaido University. Ada beberapa universiti lain dekat Jepun yang ada juga program postgrad ataupun undergrad dalam bahasa Inggeris. Jadi dia punya curriculum dia semua fully in English. Macam UIA lah, fully in English kan. Tapi ada satu benda yang buatkan saya belajar juga bahasa Jepun, walaupun saya tak perlu belajar bahasa Jepun untuk belajar, tapi di luar universiti daily life semua dalam bahasa Jepun. Mana ada subtitle kan, dia cakap bahasa Jepun, takkan mana ada keluar subtitle kat bawah kan. So saya fikir juga, ini kalau tak belajar bahasa Jepun ni kan macam mana nak hidup ni kan. boring lah. So kejap je saya nak memutuskan untuk belajar tu. Saya tak belajar masa dekat Malaysia. Tapi bila sampai sana baru saya nampak lah, okey, ni kena belajar ni. Jadi universiti tu dia ada anjurkan lah kelas bahasa Jepun untuk international students. So saya masuklah kelas basic, 3 kelas basic, grammar, communication dengan menulis. So saya 1 tahun lah saya belajar continuously. Bila dah lepas 6 bulan tu, bolehlah saya boleh kata dah agak fasih lah. Lepas 1 tahun tu saya dah fully fluent. Saya rasanya lah sebab kan nampak okey je, tak adalah okey je lah sampai sekarang pun. Satu lagi saya belajar bahasa Korea juga sebab isteri saya orang Korea, so saya belajar juga lah. So why not? Ada ni multilingual. Okay lah, best lah. So sebelum saya pergi saya tak belajar, tapi bila dekat sana saya belajar lah disebabkan keperluan dalam kehidupan seharian lah. Kalau nak belajar kat Jepun ataupun dekat Korea, pilihlah universiti yang ada program tu dalam bahasa Inggeris sebagai contoh. Okey, itu saja. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Sir Rafiq Mirza. Okay, next, the question is for Madam Tengku Nur Azila binti Raja Muhammad. How to ensure internship program ends with a full job?
How to ensure internship program
Ends with a full job.
full job?
Kerja tetap.
Okay. Okay, dia sebenarnya berbalik kepada diri kita lah, macam mana kita bawa sebenarnya. Tapi macam cakap tadi, expect less, jangan mengharap lah. Kalau you dapat sebagai di offer sebagai pekerja tetap untuk company tu, itu adalah bonus sebenarnya. Tapi kita kena bawa diri kita lah. Maksudnya kita kena set kita punya mind, kita pergi sana untuk belajar, dan kalau ada peluang kita contribute apa knowledge yang kita ada. And then do the best lah, attitude kena jaga macam tu, macam tadi juga. Kita kena bawa kita punya attitude sebab okay, sebagai majikan dia nak tengok pekerja yang dia boleh depend, yang dia boleh rely on. Maksudnya kalau you pun pergi kerja sambil lewa sebab internship je, kita tak boleh macam tu, sebab kita kena assume job tu adalah tanggungjawab kita. Okay, tanggungjawab kita walaupun kita pergi sebagai internship, tapi kita kena assume itu adalah tanggungjawab kita. Kita kena buat dengan komitmen lah. Komitmen dan jaga attitude, jaga disiplin, okay, jaga time. Kita pergi kerja macam mana, management dia akan tengok benda-benda ni. HR, okay, human resource dia akan tengok pelajar ni dari segi kerja macam mana. Dia akan evaluate lah, dia akan evaluate kita sebab once nak offer kita sebagai pekerja tetap, dia nak kita adalah pekerja yang boleh buat kerja lah, based on dia bayar kita, dia akan dapat apa, value yang dia dapat. So kalau kita pun pergi internship sambil lewa, tak jaga tak jaga attitude, tak perform, so kebarangkalian tu agak kurang lah. Jadi siapa-siapa yang dapat buat bonus, kalau tak ada, belum rezeki, nanti cari kerja lain lagi. Saja. Mungkin speaker lain boleh tambah dekat.
Okay, thank you, Madam Tengku Nur Azila binti Raja Muhammad. Okay, brothers and sisters, now we have come to the end of the program. A big appreciation to all of our speakers for making time to join us this eventful afternoon to share their experience and stories. It does indeed enlighten us about our future career in the industry. Before we end our session, let us take some pictures to remember this memorable event. It would be great if everyone can turn on their camera and smile brightly.